Good evening, Trump family. Have a good night, everyone, and God bless you. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn on that notifications bell so you don't miss a thing. Alright, the following is a collection of news from Patriots. Let's get into the news. And it looks like things are getting really dicey out there, Arizona, especially with the Maricopa County election supervisors are now doing a live stream right now answering a lot of questions, where they are not liking the questions that are being asked to vote them, because they know what they did. They know they purposely made it difficult for people to vote in Arizona and Maricopa County, especially on election day, and especially in a very heavy Republican areas that made sure to not and to ensure that those machines weren't working properly. And they did their best to disenfranchise those voters to not go out there and cast their ballot. And it's a travesty of what we've seen take place in Arizona. And of course, we know the problems we've had in other places across the country. Places like Pennsylvania, and Michigan, and other places that had many similar things happen as well. But right now, Kari Lake is continuing to fight. She has not let up yet, which is fantastic. Even President Trump put out there on his Truth Social today or late last night actually, that she should be named governor of the state of Arizona, and we'll see if the state and the counties within the state are going to have enough will to at least hold what was going on right now. So let's get to take a look what we have coming to us from the Gateway Pundit over here. It says Trump calls for Kari Lake to be installed governor of Arizona. Former President Donald Trump has called for Kari Lake to be installed as the governor of Arizona. Trump made the comments late night on Truth Social post. After Kari Lake had tweeted this, she said Arizonans have no faith or trust in our elections. Our election officials are incompetent, or worse. They have failed us. The fake news ignores our elections and expect us just to move on. We won't. America will not survive if we don't demand election reform now. Trump quoted Lake's up post and wrote massive numbers have broken voting machines in Republican districts on election day. Mechanics sent to fix them made them worse. Kari had to be taken to a Democrat area, which was working perfectly to vote. Her opponent ran the election. This is yet another criminal operation. So obvious. Kari Lake should be installed governor of Arizona. This is almost as bad as the 2020 E, which the Unselect Committee refuses to touch because they know it was fraudulent. So yeah, this is what we have going on right now in Arizona. And we already know the spineless rhino Arizona governor right now, Doug Ducey, has already met with Katie Hobbs, the Democrat who ran this election, by the way, refused to recuse herself of it, and then sure that there were going to be problems throughout riddled with this election. Totally unjust what we see right now happening. Arizona play justice will prevail. Hopefully we will see a governor, Kari Lake. And then, in the most hilarious twist of fate, the Hill shift on complying with GOP subpoenas, we will have to consider the validity. That's interesting. When Congress demands everyone from Bannon to Stone or anyone else to comply with a congressional request or demand to testify or for records or cell phone data, oh my God, if you're a Republican or Trump Republican and you don't comply, it's the end of the world. Bannon is going to prison now or jail for 6 months or so. Fox News, Schiff won't say whether he'd comply with a GOP subpoena. Will quote, consider the validity. Washington Times. Washington Examiner also has the same article. Adam Schiff says he'll need to consider the validity over a Republican demand to testify. So number one, you do have a situation with fundraising and Congressman Schiff. That has been in the news for the past couple of years. There's a certain situation with fundraising, number one. Then number two, you can go down the list. He was linked to Stephen Colbert IRS. I believe he was linked to Stephen Colbert, IRS staff that was caught trespassing on government property at the Capitol. Okay. The same thing that people in January were convicted of. Okay. Then you have the issue of a whole bunch of things, potential fundraising, in a different matter from FTX. The issue of what he knew about Hunter's business deals, the fact that for years, he's been saying he had evidence that Trump conspired with the Kremlin, and there was no evidence. In fact, the Mueller probe completely exonerated Donald Trump, and any attempt at saying, well, that's not true, because there were suspicious contacts. Well, those contacts, Democrats have even more glaring contacts. Bill Clinton had dinner with Vladimir outside of Moscow years back while the uranium deal was going on. So you have all of these atom chips potential efforts alongside Democrats to influence social media companies. So you have a whole bunch of investigations that potentially tie. And the way Democrats work is they don't accuse somebody in a court of law, they demand testimony, either to a grand jury or to Congress, or they demand a person's records when they're investigating. That's the way Democrats have worked for 4 years. Now the tables have turned in the same effort to circumvent a congressional demand to see if it's valid. That's what Bannon did. And they said, oh my God, he's trying to get out of it. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. Ladies and gentlemen, share this segment everywhere. It's very important. You're going to have Hunter testify. Okay. Hunter Biden will receive a letter from everybody from Chuck Grassley. Well, Chuck Grassley is in the Senate, but the House will be run by Jim Jordan. James Colmar, okay, of the House Oversight Committee, the House Judiciary Committee. And you're going to have Hunter testify, and he'll try to get out of the congressional demand for testimony. All of these Democrats that pontificated and preached about the sanctity of a congressional subpoena will now have to abide by their own standard, which they never do. Ladies and gentlemen, I told you and a lot of people have been skeptical. I was skeptical myself about Kevin McCarthy. Kevin McCarthy will eventually be the Speaker of the House, and he's facing a challenge, but that will make him even. Let's say that will push him closer towards Donald Trump. Donald Trump supports Kevin McCarthy. So there's Jim Jordan and Marjorie Taylor Greene. So the man is going to do exactly what Pelosi did. Except he has evidence now. Like Pelosi went after Trump. Without any evidence. They said that he tried to influence another country's leader to investigate Biden, but Biden is corrupt. So what I mean, like what's the problem here? Tell me what the problem is. If the problem is that you're talking about democracy, and the rule of law, if people are committing crimes, if you have an obvious graft and bribery scheme going on, if you have Hunter with hundreds of millions of dollars flowing into different corporations, and you have business deals where Hunter is being influenced to influence Joe, where the vice president is bragging about forcing on a prosecutor and Hunter is on the board of directors of the company where the process that the prosecutor was going to investigate. That's a huge problem. That's a huge problem, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. It's a national security issue. You don't have these compromising national security issues with Trump. You don't have that. So Trump is not like no one is giving money to Don Jr. or to Eric Trump to influence Donald Trump. People are giving money to Hunter, they're giving money to building Hillary's foundation to influence Democrats. Democrats get rich from politics, Trump did not. Trump was already a billionaire when he became a politician. That's the difference. See, when they go after Trump, and they say he's an authoritarian, and they say all of this and that, and he did this and that and he's so horrible. He doesn't worship or revere the political system. He simply looks at the bottom line. The bottom line with Trump was record low on a record low unemployment, record low poverty under Trump. Okay, that's the bottom line. The bottom line is we had record highs in household median income in 2019. And then the last year was presidency. They say that Trump commandeered a limousine ride in January. Well, that is all nonsense. They never indict him for anything. What happened is last year of his presidency, he was actually commandeered and taken over by social media platforms, especially Twitter, blaming him for something he had nothing to do, like, more people lost their lives in the first year of mashed potato brains. Okay, more people lost their lives. But it was Trump who is like the cause of everybody's problems in 2020. And so you have Twitter no longer within the control of Democrats, it's no longer a tool in a very, very effective vehicle to create a political narrative. They're going to actually have to focus on what they've accomplished, or what they've accused Trump, like they were actually going to have to prove what they've accused Trump of all these years. And they're going to have to, most importantly, because they can't prove that, so they won't have Twitter to kind of foment the hysteria around Trump. But they'll also have to actually prove that Hunter and Joe weren't part of graft and potential bribery schemes. And it's going to be tough to do when you have 150 major suspicious activity reports. Okay. And impeachment is going to introduce that to the world. So, the pendulum has swung now. You have Democrats fighting congressional subpoenas. Now you have Democrats and the judges are not going to go in and come and comply or give Democrats a free pass. Because the House of Representatives, they have attorneys, you have Adam Schiff and others implicated in wide-ranging issues that are potentially corrupt. And there's legitimate investigations. And so you have money flow, you have fundraising. The fundraising issue alone with FTX could force congressional testimony from a number of Democrats, including possibly Schiff, and he would. And it seems as though Donald Trump is back. I think a lot of people can finally see the light at the end of the tunnel. That's what I got for you guys though. Thanks for watching.